The following program is sponsored by John Chachis Insurance, your local farmers insurance agent located 800 Avenue G in Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Ely TV, Channel 3-2 in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Commission Meeting, May 14th, 2014.
Order. And the Wednesday, May 14th Commission Meeting. And Mr. Howard,
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go right into public comment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jill Moore with the BLM. One of these days I'm actually going to get on your agenda and maybe give you a little bit of a broader overview of some things that are going on. But I wanted to come and address you this morning about our oil and gas lease sale. That is a yearly event. Companies will come into the BLM and they will request that certain parcels within our district be nominated for leasing with the potential for oil and or gas development. These leases are sold and managed out of our state office, but our office locally here is responsible for taking a look at all of the parcels that have been nominated, identifying any of the parcels which, for whatever reason, we want to request deferral on so that they are not leased, and also identifying any resource concerns or other stipulations that we want to put on those parcels. So we'll be conducting an environmental assessment. We're in the process of getting started with that now. There is, we have a period of time between about a week and a half ago, and the 27th of May, where we are asking the public for any input that they might have. We have a website that is available, which has a list of the parcels on it. I have maps of where those parcels are located today, and if you don't mind, I'll set them over. I'll set them over on the bench. We're asking the public for informal input now. However, once the preliminary environmental assessment gets published in the probably second week or so in June, there will be a 30-day formal public comment period. So you'll have two opportunities to weigh in if you have any concerns about any of those parcels that have been nominated for leasing. Are there any questions about that? Please contact us if you have any questions whatsoever, or if you need more information. And we look forward to receiving any comments that folks have.
How many do you plan on?
There are 193 parcels that have been nominated that we are looking at now for leasing. Now, it is possible that some of those parcels will be deferred. Essentially not available for leasing. For example, there are some parcels that have been nominated that are down in some critical desert tortoise habitat down in the Tule Desert. Those are in Lincoln County, obviously. Frankly, there aren't too many in White Pine County. Go ahead, ma'am.
Can I interrupt? Normally during public comment, we're not supposed to answer questions back and forth. But I was wondering if maybe if we had an opportunity on the 28th, maybe we could put it on the 28th.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. I'm sorry.
The board could go ahead and have some dialogue.
Okay, definitely can do that. But I will leave some information against the wall, and I'm available for questions.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, after that, the matter was well presented last night. The deadline is laid out to where TUAC will not have a recommendation to send to the commission because of the time. Some of these mentioned
time though, we're normally, the board does not comment on public comment or ask questions, so. But that's been our policy, so. Okay, George, I'm gonna ask you if you would be brief, because I also have public comment from individuals.
Okay.
Okay?
You want me to step back until they
No,
finish?
that's all right.
All right,
No,
thank you.
I'll go ahead and give you the 3 minutes. I'm gonna hold you to that though, okay?
It's not the first time. Thank you.
All right.
Madam Chairman, the Commission is to consider 1.5% franchise fee on electrical service. Before you consider any new tax, you need to collect all things that you're entitled to, which I believe you're not doing. The county needs to request that the city of Ely give back the $270,000 gift that you gave them earlier. According to former city clerk Jim Allworth, the city has always been in good shape. Giving away taxpayers' money to another entity that doesn't need it has got to stop. You can't keep coming back to the taxpayer. The excessive raises need to be stopped, and I brought that up before you in the past. Waiving fees needs to stop. When you fail to collect what you're entitled to, you cannot balance your budget. There's a taxpayer that you're coming back to every time. That needs to stop. When you set out a fee schedule, it applies to everyone. You're not collecting everything. The Commission needs to live within its means, just like the taxpayer does. Madam Chairman, on your agenda, you're to consider appointing Carol McKenzie to the County Industrial Park Review Board. In the past, and even now, Carol's failed to provide public information that I requested while she's serving on the Planning Commission. Again, we're not collecting your property fees.
We're not gonna talk
Just a
about
comment,
it.
just a comment.
No, you keep it personal out of it. That's.
Ma'am, she's on the agenda. You
but
put her
she's
name on
But
it.
she's also, you mentioned the names, George, and our district attorney has just shook his head that that's not.
Okay. Anyone you put on these boards has to be accountable.
That's
You're not getting that.
Is the board not in question? Point of order. May I direct a question to the DA?
To the DA?
Is it inappropriate when there is an appointment pending on the agenda to take public comment specific to that individual? This is not on your time, George.
What's that?
Not on George's time, you look at.
That's, well, it's appropriate at the time of the appointment, yes.
Then there's no provision for public comment on that particular item.
That's fine.
So then this would be an appropriate time?
It would be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Madam Chairman, I've yet to receive an answer to rumored incident involving county employee reportedly harassing or threatening a Ely City Councilman. I want to know again, was the county employee on or off duty? Was that person in their assigned area? And what was that employee trying to accomplish for the county to cause the incident? I want to remind you that the county released an employee for failing to disclose a previous firing. You can't selectively enforce the rules and regulations. Madam Chairman, I'm again requesting a copy of the county policy. I'm requesting a copy of the county policy on how the public as well as other public officials are to be treated. This request goes back months, if not a year or more. Madam Chairman, this is a new month, and I would like to know if you have a new updated list of those having home occupation or special use permits. I want to know if some of your county employees are on there, and if by chance the county exempts them from having to pay the fees that others do. I brought this up numerous times, and I can't get any answers if I don't know what your policy is. That's all I have at this time, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, George. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and read into the record. This has been requested. This is from Susan Wetmore. Dear Commissioners, I am writing to express my dismay at the plan that will be presented to the Commissioners to balance the budget by cutting the 2-page positions at the White Pine County Public Library. I have 2 major concerns. The first is that the library is unfairly bearing the brunt of this cost-cutting measure. The second is that this plan appears to involve age discrimination. I understand that previous cost-cutting measures have been evenly and equitably spread throughout the county. For example, all departments experienced the 10% budget cuts. However, the library, in addition to this across-the-board measure, has also lost funds for the bookmobile fuel and janitorial supplies. And now the library is the only department to lose actual positions, not one but two. I know the positions in two other departments have ostensibly been cut. In actuality, however, one of those positions was already empty and the other position was covered by a grant. The library is the only department to lose two paid positions in this process. This seems a disproportionate hit. My understanding is that one reason this plan is being proposed to you is that the staff in the financial office believes that these two positions are expendable because they are only being staffed by high school students. I guess the rationale here is that the high school students can better afford to be without work. Not only do I think this rationale is without actual merit, I think it is discriminatory. I think that hiring and firing on the basis of age is unethical and possibly illegal. Furthermore, this proposed plan continues to unfairly impact young people in our county in a sort of ripple effect. Removing these two positions will necessitate reduced hours of operation for the library as a whole, and it will also reduce the highly popular summer reading and story hour programs that serve so many of our county's children throughout the summer months. I urge the commissioners to study this proposal and take a hard look both at its rationale and its effects on the children and youth of our county. Thank you, Susan Wagner. I have another one that was received by email from Gretchen Baker. Dear County Commissioners, I'm writing in regards to the county budget for library services. I understand that the White Pine County Library budget has been proposed to be cut severely so that 2 part-time students will lose their jobs and the bookmobile will have reduced services. I urge you to reconsider this proposal. Libraries serve many purposes. They are a cornerstone of the community. They are a safe place for youth and teenagers to go to expand their minds. They allow young children to realize how fun it is to escape into a book and discover a new world. Libraries are a portal to the world via computers, magazines, books, and newspapers. They are an archive of community history. They provide information about hobbies, health, and government. Libraries are a place of art, science, and imagination. Our White Pine County Library is an integral part of the community. Instead of cutting the budget and services, the county would benefit from having extended hours at the library. For county residents who live further away from the library, like us in Baker, it is hard to make it there when it is open. The library closes at 6 p.m. most weeknights, which when we don't get off work until 5 p.m. and then have an hour drive gives us no time to browse. In addition, the library is open only the first and third Saturdays of the month and only for 4 hours, which again is very limited for those out of town. Despite our difficulties in making it to the library, we still do make a point of using it. When our son turned 5, one of the biggest wishes was to get his library card. We have made a special trip the day of his birthday to get the card. It was such a big deal that I even blogged about it. Now every time we go to town, the kids want to go to the library. The staff of the White Pine County was extremely helpful. When we wanted to have a Snake Valley summer reading program last summer in cooperation with the library, children's librarian Hillary Peck was so helpful and encouraging. We had kids reading all summer long, some of whom would not have read otherwise. Because it is a long distance to get to the library, many people in the outlying communities in White Pine County depend on the bookmobile from Elko. During the school year, it comes twice a month. It is the only library many kids see. In addition, many elderly folks who also have a hard time getting to town depend on it to stay connected with the outside world and to find meaningful entertainment resources with which to learn. The bookmobile is an essential part of the library experience in rural White Pine County. As you can see, we feel passionately about the library. Please don't cut the library budget. If anything, it needs to be increased. The White Pine County Library and the bookmobile are an extremely important part of our community. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Gretchen Baker, Library Patron, Baker, Nevada. And then we also received from the David E. Norman Elementary School letters that were written. There are 53 students in here and 2 staff. 1 email, which I read, and then another one hand-delivered. So, and I do have copies in the commission office for the commissioners to read. And Lynn, here's the readings.
Public comment. Sure. Good morning. My name is Amy Sorensen, and I am one of the library trustees. And as our board has looked at the budget cuts for this next fiscal year, we are concerned, obviously, as has already been stated, about the loss of our 2-page positions. We're also concerned about losing half of the bookmobile funds, which will reduce the bookmobile to once a month instead of twice a month to our outlying areas. We're also losing all of our janitorial, and we're also making a cut to our annual book budget, which by Nevada state law, we are required to keep at a certain level. If we go under that level, we are required to process a waiver every year, which is a lot of work for the library staff to do. We understand that sacrifices need to be made, and we're willing to make those sacrifices at the library. However, with the loss of the 2 pages, it impacts our library function and how things happen on a daily basis. With that concern in mind, Richard Howell and Maureen Romero and myself went and spoke with Elizabeth Francis to discuss these cuts and hopefully encourage her to add back at least one of our page positions. Ms. Francis informed us that that was a commission decision, that was your decision to make, and not something that she could change. And so I'm here asking for the commission to reconsider adding, or to consider adding one of those page positions back into the budget for next year. We know that we need to make cuts, but losing both of our page positions causes us to have to cut the amount of time that the library will be open. So what does a page do? A page covers the front desk and helps the patrons during our busiest time at the library, which is usually during story hour. We currently, during the school year, have 5 story hour programs running, which serve almost 100 kids every week. In the summer, we have 7 story hour programs that serve between 125 and 135 children each week. Without the help of the pages, we'll have to cut back the operating hours and therefore change the way that we offer story hour. Currently, our children's librarian is able to serve each child. She knows everybody's name, she knows their parents. With the changes, we will need to change how many kids are in a program. They'll be a lot larger, and they won't get that one-on-one attention that they are currently getting from Miss Hillary. Our pages also shelve books at the library. In a month, the library checks out books, and then those books have to be put away. And so on average, we put between about 2,000 books during the winter months away each month. During the summer, when we're promoting reading, we can put away as many as 3,200 books every month, which is a lot of books. I've been helping run a children's library at the school, and putting away the books is a long, arduous task. And so it takes a lot of work to do that. We could ask volunteers to help, but we would still need to train those volunteers, and we would need to monitor those volunteers to make sure that the books are being put back reliably. And they don't always do as reliable a job as a paid worker. It is our hope that the commission will look and reconsider cutting both of our page positions and reinstate at least one of our pages, so that we can continue to serve the community of White Pine County to the best of our ability. This decision will affect the entire community, not just our story hour families, but everybody, because we will have to close earlier. We will not be able to meet the needs of the people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any more?
For the record, Donna Bath, private citizen. I wanted to talk to you about your 1.5% franchise fee as well. And I don't have a dog in the fight because we don't have a business in the county, which I'm assuming is going to be just countywide because the city already has a 2%. But I am very concerned that the 2 industries that are going to be hit the hardest are the industries that are struggling the most right now, and that's the ranching community. You heard at Tri-County at the last meeting the struggles and tribulations that the ranchers and farmers are going through right now. We have the business franchise fee that's coming upon us. We don't know where SJR 15 is going to settle out with the net proceeds of mines tax. The mining industry is the other industry that's going to be hit hardly. We have one of our biggest employers is Polish owned. Poland is right next to 2 very troubled areas right now. They could come out, and you know that. They could close its mine tomorrow and we'd be done. I think that the county needs to, of course, look at ways to raise revenues. And you know that absolutely nobody in this county does not want to see taxation come in here more than I do. Have a bake sale. Don't do it. But we've got to start looking at ways to talk to the mining industry. If this SJR 15 and the solutions to that goes away, the margin tax comes in, all of that needs to be played. We need to probably look at forming a coalition that we can do development agreements with some of these companies and start now. But I do realize that it is a portion. I think the portion that was talked about was 1% in your last commission meeting, and now it's 1.5%. So I'm not really sure how that changed. And it's okay. I mean, I'll find that out. But I would just urge you to think about that before we pass that tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, any more? So we're kind of lengthy. All right, and I apologize. We'll go into our 9:05 presentation with Mr. George J. Molnar, Nevada Statewide Interoperability Coordinator, to update the White Pine County Commission on interoperable communications and the nationwide public safety broadband.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And thank you, Commissioners, for having me, and thanks, folks, for being here. My name is George Molnar. Excuse me, now I can get my voice out. I am from government, and I need your help. It's one of those things that's a little hard to say sometimes, but I'm a communications geek. I'm a person who has hung around radios and communications and talking to people for a living for a long time. And in the last several years, most of that focus has been around public safety communications, for fire, for police, EMS, public works, people who serve our communities. And one of the things I like most about coming to smaller communities, especially here in Nevada, is the voices that you hear from people. And their needs for communications are clear. They understand the issues. They understand the constraints. They understand the lay of the land. And the honesty and the information they get back that helps formulate policy is huge. And I really, truly appreciate the opportunity to share with you what I know and ask you in return to help me bring this process forward. So as a little bit of background, radio's been around for about 100 years. It started off with calling all cars from Detroit radio stations to the motorcycle cops out in the streets. Now we're down to this kind of thing. Does anybody not have a smartphone anymore? It seems like it's a big deal. But we see on 9/11, we see on Katrina, we saw even at Bundy Ranch just recently. Communication is difficult between our professionals still. Not always, not often, not always, not everywhere. But firefighters, police, EMS, public utilities, school districts can't effectively communicate. And people get hurt, property is damaged, the economy is damaged as a result. So what we've decided to do as a group of concerned people throughout the country is develop this process of interoperability to a more official, more standardized level. After 9/11, our public safety community rallied to create the National Emergency Communications Plan and our statewide Communications Interoperability Plan, and to found the Office of the Statewide Interoperability Coordinator. That's the SWIC, and that's me. There's one in every one of the 56 states and territories of America. And we look for strategic planning, strategic guidance on communications. In 2014, just a few months ago, Governor Sandoval created the Nevada Public Safety Communications Committee to implement communications interoperability planning and focus discussion within the state of Nevada. I'm the representative of that committee. I'm actually one of the few members of that committee who's actually been appointed so far. The wheels turn slowly sometimes, but we're moving along. But I am representing that committee to you. I'm also representing the Governor's Homeland Security Advisor to you, as a state administrative agency. And I'd like to talk to you about what's coming. It's a thing called FirstNet. Some folks may have heard of it. FirstNet is the nationwide public safety broadband network. In a sea of long words and acronyms, it means that there's this group, this federal group, that's building a wireless internet for public safety. They're building an AT&T, a T-Mobile, a Sprint, a Verizon, wireless coverage for public safety users. So cops, firefighters, so forth can access this without worrying about running into my daughter texting. Because right now, my 16-year-old daughter, now she wants to be a cop, so I'll give her a little bit of slack. She has no more priority and no less priority than the fire chief of this community getting on his phone. She's saying, OMG, LOL, there's big black smoke coming up from the ranch. She could be laughing about it all day long, but he's trying to get his man out there. Telephone companies don't care. FirstNet will care. This will be a public safety-oriented organization. They hold the license. They received $7 billion in startup funding, $7 billion. And what they're going to try to do with that is stand up a network that supports wireless devices, be they heads-up displays for firefighters, smart vests for police officers. Say an officer is assaulted, punched, or shot. Right now he has to call for help. He has to use his radio. What if the vest could call for help? What if the firefighter was in a wildland area and you could look in his heads-up display and say, okay, the rest of my team are there. The terrain drops off over there. The wind is coming in from this direction. All these things are possible with high-speed data. So FirstNet wants to basically create this high-speed, high-reliability data network covering 95% of the United States inside and out. They want all 50 states and 6 territories to opt in to be part of it. It's not right now a mission-critical voice service, but they're hoping that someday they'll get there. And because it's expensive to do this kind of stuff, and there aren't that many cops and firefighters and EMS personnel, they want to open up to any public safety user, be it a utility, a school, hospital, library, transportation user. There'll be tiers of priority within that that can be adjusted in your own communities. That would just be public safety. And priced down to no more than you're using now. FirstNet doesn't replace land mobile radio, the current walkie-talkies that our guys use. And it's not going to be immediately available anywhere. Okay, we're in White Pine County. If anybody thinks this is going to be the first place in America that is turned up for high-speed data, they're probably smoking something funny. We don't know where they're going to pick first, but they're going to provide a high-visibility urban area, I'm sure, first. But it will roll out eventually. Now here's the thing. It's not mandatory. This is not a big government program saying, Washington is coming to tell the state, to tell the locals, that you must have this thing. We can't constitutionally do that. And as a Nevadian, I don't want my government doing that. So I'm not going to stand here and advocate for that. This is a program that is being presented as an option to the state. The state may opt out of the program entirely. But presuming the state opts in and allows FirstNet to provide services within Nevada, it is still up to each and every individual jurisdiction and agency whether or not to subscribe. Just like an AT&T or a Sprint or a Verizon, you can buy what services your agency wants. If the police department wants to buy 6 hotspots, they can. If they want to buy 0, they can. The state does not administer this program. The state does not control this program. The state is not endorsing this program explicitly at this point.
So this is a federal program?
This is a federal program. It is part of the Department of Commerce, and it will be rolled out across all the country's jurisdictions in the next 8 years. That's the plan. First, it is mandated by Congress. it must be offered by law to all public safety users. FirstNet must, by law, build a network core. In other words, build the insides of the thing. And then build a radio access network to allow people to get into it. So all those towers you see on the highway, there's a radio access network for AT&T, for Verizon. FirstNet will need to build 30,000-ish more towers around the country to do that.